George Kell, Billy Cox when he was over with the Dodgers.
I'm sure the people in Brooklyn watching today, Kurt, feel that Cox is the greatest they've ever watched. The people here in Baltimore feel Brooks is the best.
Fly ball to right. Frank Robinson. Right fielder, 2 down. Brody has grounded out his first time up, and now Al Weiss is coming up. He walked in his first time.
Kurt, and to show you the appreciativeness of the Brooks Robinson, he pats on the back George Kell every once in a while for teaching him quite a bit about how to play third base.
2 down. Baltimore leading 4-0 in the top of the 5th. Foul ball. One ball, 1 strike. We're on an hour later tomorrow. That's Tom Seaver, the on-deck batter. Foul ball back. And we have one right here in our NBC booth. Tomorrow, the World Series pregame show starts at 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time. And it's Dave McNally against Jerry Kuzman tomorrow. The 1-2 pitch. 2-2 to Al Weiss. Cardwell is still throwing in the Met bullpen. Two pitch. Ball 3. Player pitching 3-2. Weiss hits it to Robinson. Look at that tricky hop, and throws him out. That's the best fielding play of the game so far. That was a tough hop for him, Bill.
He stayed right with it, Kurt. It didn't fool him one bit. He had the glove down in good position, reached the glove down quickly, turned the neck, made the good hard throw right from the third base side, and right on target to Powell to just get the runner by 1 or 2 good strides.
So the Mets are down in order, and at the end of 4.5 innings, the score: the Baltimore Orioles 4 and the New York Mets nothing.
You, Baron von Spiegler, the saber champion of Heidelberg 3 times, spoiled by this blade with the miracle plastic coating so the edge of the cold steel doesn't touch your face from any shapes. You will never face cold steel again. Oder Füßen an rechte Verteidiger, Licht und Negern und... Hey, that's a real sword.
Do you mean that we're sharing the same cabinet with the man in 2C?
That's 2D, Mona. That's
And he flings open the door and starts...
He tells me about his regular right guard and how 1 shot lasts him all day.
And you just stood there?
No, I told him about our right guard antiperspirant and how it stops odor and helps keep us dry.
Oh, wait. Good morning. Hi. Hey. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh,
2 kinds of people, 2 kinds of right guard.
her finger was in the door.
We're halfway through the opening World Series game, and now to carry the rest of the way on play-by-play, the Baltimore Oriole broadcaster and telecaster, Mr. Bill O'Donnell.
Thank you, Kurt, and hello again, everybody. Seaver's only been really roughed up in 1 inning. That was last inning when the Birds batted 8 men, and here's Frank Robinson to start it off. High curve and ball 1. Robinson has batted twice against Seaver and has not hit the ball out of the infield. Struck out on the first, bounced out in the third. Deep left center field. This is A.G. in front of the warning track with a lot of room. And 1 away. A.G., like the Orioles center fielder, Paul Blair, goes back and comes in on a ball equally well. But he had a lot of time to get out to the center on the towering fly. Boog Powell has had a base hit. That came in the first inning with 2 out. And he also rolled out to short as he was jammed on a fastball in the 4th inning and off a check swing. Foul ball over towards the Mets dugout. The Orioles are leading Game 1 of the 1969 World Series by a score of 4-0. Seaver today has tried to lean on the breaking stuff as much as his good fastball. Change up a little bit outside.
They're really feeding Powell a lot of curves. That must be the Met report on him and strategy. They haven't shown him too many fastballs, Bill.
They're trying to get Powell off balance. They gave him the heat that time, but Weiss was perfectly positioned. Weiss couldn't have played it any better defensively to get Powell on that hot shot one hop. So against Seaver, Birds have batted 2 men. They've both gone down, and here is Brooks Robinson. Brooks has made the sparkling defensive play of the ball game, has slid deep to center, and has popped up. 2 out in the bottom of the 5th inning. He went after the fastball, and no play for Grody, the catcher. On deck is the Oriole catcher, Ellie Hendricks. Again, the second baseman, Weiss, was perfectly positioned as Brooks lined out on the fastball to the second baseman. And so at the end of the 5th inning, the score is Baltimore 4, New York nothing.
Hi. I'd like this in my personal checking account and this in my savings.
If everyone who banked at the Commerce had the same kind of account, it'd make life a lot easier for us. But it wouldn't do much for you. So we've got 3 kinds of accounts.
Hello, Miss Hall. I'd like this in my personal checking account and this in my savings.
For writing checks, you need a Commerce personal checking account. You get a statement every month along with your canceled check.
This is for my savings account, and this is my personal checking.
For saving money, you need a Commerce savings account. It guarantees you the highest savings account interest available at chartered banks in Canada.
Balance this for me, please. I've been writing a lot of checks.
For saving money and writing a few checks, you need a Commerce checking savings account. Commerce has 3 convenient types of accounts. Most people need 2, one for checking and one for saving.
Can you help me? I'd like to open an account.
If you don't know which combination you need, just ask. Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, one of the world's great banks.
Well, the manager of the Mets, Gil Hodges, realizing he's 4 runs down to go to the top of the 6th inning, will pull Tom Seaver, and he will bat instead one of his catchers, Duffy Dyer. During the regular season, Dyer batted .257. He had 3 home runs and knocked over 12 runs. On the first pitch, the shortstop Belanger over near the hole for out number 1. Dyer, batting for Seaver, gets 1 pitch and grounds out short to first. A quick out to start the top of the 6th inning, and here's the expression and the feeling right now pictured on the face of the Mets manager, Gil Hodges.
Number 20, Tommy Agee.
Here's the leadoff batter now, Tommy Agee, and he truly has to be one of the fine comeback stories of not only the Mets season, but the entire National League season. He got the curve, rainbowed in slowly for strike 1. Cuellar thus far in the ballgame has thrown that change curve twice and thrown it well. 1 strike to Tommy Agee. He didn't get the screwball through. A ball and a strike. Agee came from a .217 average a year ago to a strong .271 this year. 1-1. The screwball missing again. The activity right now in the Mets bullpen is with veteran Don Cardwell. 1 away. We're in the top of the 6th inning. The change curve was in, so both his strikes to Agee have been those let-up rainbow breaking balls. Cuellar looks down at his feet a lot, and he does that to concentrate and also tries to relax those rubber arms of his as much as he can. No play on the foul ball to the top side of the ballpark up in right field. Agee, known as a very aggressive swinger. the fastball, and he stays alive at 2-2. On deck, this is Bud Harrelson. He got the soft curve 3 times for 3 looking strikes.
Watch Cuellar now. 5 pitches he's using in this game. And this is that soft curve that he's using as a changeup. Long stride for him. Throws them all off that same motion.
All right, Kurt, here is Bud Harrelson, the shortstop. 1-0 to Harrelson. He's bounced out twice to third baseman Brooks Robinson. Harrelson has not been a switch hitter for too many years, back about 2 or 3 years ago. He got the soft curve over the plate, but low. 2 balls and no strikes. Cuellar has been touched for only 2 base hits. 3-0 to Harrelson. That's the third base coach, Eddie Yost, flashing Harrelson either the red light or the green light. Take it or go ahead and swing. 2 gone, nobody aboard. Right. He was waved to first base. Soar came up with the right arm and then pointed, said, go to first base. Second walk has been issued now by Cuellar. He walked Weiss back in the 3rd inning to lead it off. Cleon Jones coming on for the 3rd time. He has one of a pair of hits off Cuellar. Jones rammed the ball right through the middle of the infield, past shortstop Belanger in the 1st inning for a base hit to center, and he flied to left his last trip in the 4th inning. Jones will hit the ball a lot through the middle. Powell holding Harrelson the runner with 2 out in the Mets' 6th inning. Didn't get that breaking stuff. It might have been a slider right down to his knees. Kurt has been talking about an assortment, and there isn't too much that Cuellar does not have. About the only thing he might not have is the straight changeup. Popped him up. Powell might have a chance. Powell in foul ground off the first base side to retire. The Mets in the top of the 6th inning. And so at the middle of the 6th inning, the score is Baltimore 4, New York nothing.
The assembly line beats with a pulse of its own. Each man is a link in a smooth running chain that joins all the skills of a dozen tough trades, building and shaping again and again. They're a bold, hearty breed, these men of the line. They're satisfied men, and they like what they do. With clockwork precision, they work as a team and never slow down till their long day is through. And then their reward is an O'Keefe ale. It's bolder than the rest. Yes, O'Keefe is the hearty ale these men enjoy. O'Keefe ale satisfies best. O'Keefe ale, the right ale for right now.
Well, we're going to the bottom of the 6th inning here at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. Baltimore is leading New York by a score of 4-0. And let's go downstairs to Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Bill. Sitting with me down here, Mayo Smith, the manager of the Detroit Tigers. And last year, Mayor, you were in the same boots that Gil Hodges and Earl Weaver. Of course, your ball club had a little rough break, but I think it was really a lot of this Baltimore Orioles which really hurt you.
Well, you're so right, Tony. I don't think people gave enough credit to the Baltimore club because they started right from spring training and and went right on through the season. And when you win 109 ball games, we thought we played pretty good last year. We won 103, so you can see we'd still be 6 games behind them if we'd played as well as we did last year.
Mayo, they talk about the great balance of this ball club, of course, and they do. They can do everything defense. They're good power hitting. They can finesse a victory even. They can bunt and everything else. Let's talk a little bit about this Baltimore ball club and their hitting especially. Did you have trouble pitching this ball club?
Well, yes, we did this year. Of course, you take a boy who's starred here so far today, little Buford. He was always in our hair all year long. He's a fine little leadoff man, and of course, Boog, we held him home run wise. He hit 2 off of us, but average wise, he got a lot of base hits off us. But this ball club does just what it has to do. If it has to have a good pitch ball game, it gets it, and then if not such a good pitch game, why, they score a run. So this is, as you say, I think one of the finest, well-balanced ball clubs I've seen in a number of years.
Mayo Smith, thank you so much. I know you're looking forward to next year. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Tony.
Let's go on back upstairs right now.
This is Elrod Hendricks leading off against the new Mets pitcher, reliever Don Cardwell. And he opens him up with a wide fastball. Cardwell, 6'4", 220 pounds. And that's his one lost average on the year. He's a 33-year-older. Been with quite a few ball clubs. Outside again, 2-0.
Bill Mayo Smith was talking about the Orioles in spring training. They had a fantastic record in spring training. They started winning from the opening game, and they haven't stopped since.
As a matter of fact, Earl Weaver was asked after spring training, how are you going to do in the regular season? And he said, just like we did in spring training. The first baseman, Clendenin, pulled the easy putout on Hendricks after he had pulled ahead of the reliever Cardwell, 2 balls and no strikes. Cardwell, now walking back to the mound, in addition to being with the Mets, has been with 3 other National League ball clubs. Here's Dave Johnson. He has flied to center, walked, and scored a run, and he scored during the 3-run bottom of the 4th inning. We're 1 away in the top of the 6th, in the bottom of the 6th inning. Third baseman, Charles, with no trouble to retire Johnson easily, and that's 2 up and 2 down. Probably Cardwell's greatest contribution, as we now have Mark Belanger coming on to that in the bottom of the 6th inning. Cardwell's greatest contribution was towards the tail end of the season. He's primarily a breaking ball pitcher, and he was extremely successful in the Mets pennant drive. Strike 1 to Belanger. Belanger has bounced to third, got an opposite field base hit to right in the 4th inning to drive over one of the 3 runs. And this is Cuellar waving it back. 1 ball and 1 strike to Belanger. We talked about Agee having a comeback year, and Belanger had a comeback year just like Agee. He came from 208 to 287 this year. 1 after the low fastball, and right to third base coach Hunter, who, Kurt, was a great fielding shortstop years ago.
I remember him, and he's like Belanger. He had that range, could make that throw in the hole, good hands, never too good with a bat, but he could make spectacular plays in the field.
2 away, there's not a base runner on. 1-2. Pops him up in foul ground. Clendenin, the big, tall first baseman, and Cardwell in relief has a 1-2-3 inning to retire the Orioles. And so, at the end of the 6th inning, the score is Baltimore 4 and the New York Mets nothing.
Here it is, the hot new sports specialty car you've only heard rumors about. Brand new Dodge Challenger, ready to challenge anything on the road in any department. Power options go all the way up to a 426 Hemi. The stance goes wider, and the styling goes out of sight with hidden wipers, dual headlights, and inside, a whole new world of luxury. Compare Challenger to anything you've ever seen. The difference is like night and day.
Everyone is watching you. Can you be the someone who your new car says you are? If it's really true, if it's really true, if it's really true.
70. See it at your Dodge dealer.
The Baltimore pitchers have now allowed no runs in 39 consecutive World Series innings. Back in the '66 series, after the opening game, McNally, Palmer, and Bunker pitched consecutive shutouts against the Dodgers, and Cuellar has shut out the Mets here in the first 6 innings of this opening game of the '69 World Series. So here we go now to inning number 7, and Bill O'Donnell again.
Thank you, Kurt, and to lead off for the Mets in the top of the 7th inning, it'll be Clendenin, their number 4 batter, to be followed by Svoboda and Charles. And one of the men, Kurt, to be remembered in that '66 World Series, the great relief job by Grabowski. Grabowski pitched better than 6 innings of relief for McNally in that first game and struck out 11. 1-0 from Cuellar. The screwball for 1 ball and 1 strike. On deck, this is Ron Svoboda. He got a piece of the screwball that time, 1-2. Clendenin struck out in the first inning, and then he doubled with 2 away to the power alley in left center in the 4th. Clendenin likes the fastball. He's a good fastball swinger. No chance on the foul ball, back to the right side. You notice Clendenin always busy, always active, and now ready. Too tight, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cuellar has been moving the ball around a lot on Clendenin, trying to get screwballs to his knees to the outside corner, and then trying to jam him with that soft curve. 2-2. Got a piece of the screwball. Now, Cuellar, because he has the great assortment and also very good control, can move the ball around and be effective. Clendenin right now has not been an easy out. Up the middle for a base hit line to center field, and Clendenin has a 2-for-3 afternoon. Clendenin had the last base hit off Cuellar.
Here he is. Watch it. Head on the ball. Eyes right on that ball. A good follow-through. And he's been the best hitter so far in the game for the Mets.
All right, the Mets' third base hit, and they've got something going, perhaps, to begin the top of the 7th inning. Here's Svoboda. He has fanned and flied to center field. A lot of power. Ball 1. Svoboda, as Kurt commented earlier, a local product here in Baltimore. 2 balls and no strikes. Cuellar has not had control difficulties through the first 6 innings. He has walked 2 men, but neither walk has put him in a jam. That's Powell holding on Clendenin. Nobody out. 3 balls, no strikes. Hendricks is going out to talk to Cuellar. In addition to Hendricks being a left-hand swinger, and that's one of the reasons, but only one, that he's in the ball game, started against Seaver and now batting against Cardwell. Oriole manager Earl Weaver also feels that there's no language barrier between Cuellar, who comes from Cuba, and Hendricks, who was born in the Virgin Islands. They can talk Spanish to each other or English. 3-0. Svoboda way ahead. Cuellar trying to fight his way back. He got the fastball through.
Hello, the fans are wondering about Cuellar's durability. He completed his last 8 starts of the regular season.
He loses him, and that will move Clendenin to second base. So now the Mets have their biggest rally of the ball game. The Mets are down by 4. They've come back many times during the season. And this will bring on Ed Charles. 3 walks have now been given up by Cuellar. Charles has fanned and grounded to third. We're in the top of the 7th inning. Baltimore leading New York by a score of 4-0. Ball 1. Right now, against Charles, as he was against Svoboda, Cuellar is getting wild high. And that's going to bring out the pitching coach. Here he is, George Bamberger. There's activity as we've got Bamberger, Hendricks, and Cuellar meeting. This is right-hander Eddie Watt. The Orioles have 2 late-inning relievers. One a left-hander, Rickert. That was the right-hander, Watt. Now, Bamberger, as he goes back to the Oriole third base dugout, he and Weaver may have just spotted something that Cuellar is not aware of. And we also have activity going on in the New York Mets bullpen with Ron Taylor. Right field, Frank Robinson's got to get a long run to the foul line along with Dave Johnson. The runners did not tag, the runners stay. And Frank Robinson made sure before he threw back to Belanger whether Clendenin was going to go. This is Yogi Berra with his runner at first base, Svoboda.
Let's remind the fans that during the World Series rule changes, the manager can go to the mound as many times as he wants, and the rule that the pitcher must throw in 20 seconds is out here too. So those are 2 minor rule changes that are in effect here for the World Series.
All right, Kurt, 2 runners still on for the Mets, now with 1 away. And here is Jerry Grody. The runner at second is Clendenin. And there's Svoboda. He is not being held by Powell, with the infield playing back at double play depth. Fastball was high. That's what Cuellar's problem has been with the control. Wild high. Cuellar trying to concentrate and think things over. Still wild high, 2-0. Clendenin, second. Svoboda, first. The outfield right now is spread pretty good to Grody with the power pockets open. And Belanger couldn't get to it. The Mets may have their first run. Buford throwing home, and then Clendenin decides to stay at third base. Clendenin took a big turn. Yost held him up. And the Mets have the bases jammed with only 1 gone in the top of the 7th inning. Grody got a good rip at an inside pitch right about hand high and ripped it right past Belanger, the shortstop.
Number 6, Al White.
Watch Belanger just miss this line drive. The Mets trailing by 4 did not want to gamble. Buford had charged that base hit. Made a good throw because it was a throw to the cutoff man, Robinson. Robinson could have either let it go through or cut it off, and he elected to cut it off when they held Clendenin at third.
Well, the Mets with a lot of fat on the fire, and this is Al Weiss only getting a piece of Cuellar's screwball. At third, Clendenin. At second, Svoboda. Grody, who just got the base hit at first base. The infield playing the same way as it had when Grody was batting. Back at normal depth with 1 out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Weiss has walked on a 3-2 pitch and sent a tricky hopping ball to Brooks Robinson at third base, who threw him out in the 5th. This is Cardwell on deck. 2 balls and 1 strike. Well, now the the wildness problem of Cuellar is even more serious. Normally, when a pitcher is wild high or wild outside, he can adjust to it a little bit more quickly. But now Cuellar has been wild high and now wild low. Orioles lead 4-0 in the 7th. 3 balls, 1 strike. Cuellar very noticeably pressing against the tail end right now of the Mets order. Mets with a big chance. 3 balls and 2 strikes. There is only 1 man out, so that will not release the runners. And that's the impatient scene in the Oriole dugout. Deep left field. Buford, however, is in position. Clendenin trying to come home on the throw, which is way off the third base line. Weiss got a good rip and lined it to fairly deep left field, and Buford's throw was wild and way wide of the plate. So the Mets cut into the Oriole lead, and it's now Baltimore 4 and New York 1. The other 2 runners held, namely Svoboda at second and Grote at first base. Here's the pinch hitter now who will bat for Cardwell, Rod Gasper.
Your attention, please. Batting for Cardwell, number 17, Rod Gasper.
Gasper coming to the plate with 2 out, with a run home, with Grote at first base and Svoboda at second base. Now, Gasper, like Harrelson, can bat from either side. So he will go from the right side against Cuellar. On the year, he batted .228 overall between the left and right sides with a home run. He did much better from the right side, shoot an average of .263. Mets at second and first. Ball 1. Cuellar actually has brought on his own problems with this control situation. You just saw Svoboda and Grote. Grote at first is not being held by Powell. One ball and 1 strike. You may have noticed that when Gasper waits for Cuellar's pitch, his stance is open just a bit out towards the third base foul line. And then when Cuellar came forward, Gaspar went right into the pitch. There's the slightly open stance. When the ball is thrown, that front foot will go right towards the pitch. One and 2. Cuellar trying to tighten the belt buckle here and get out this Met fire here in the top of the 7th inning. Gasper batting for Cardwell. Seaver started the game and went 5 innings. A tough play for Brooks Robinson at third base. Extremely tough. He made the play.
Brooks Robinson putting on a fielding show here. This is the hardest play a third baseman has to make. Charging the ball, picking it up barehanded, and snapping the throw all in the same motion. And look at this throw, right on target with something on it. Robinson's made the 2 best fielding plays of the game so far.
And in the middle of the 7th inning, the score is Baltimore 4 and New York 1.
One morning, Wally Buckley discovered he had a case of the nubs.
The nubs!
The nubs. The tiny little part of his beard his razor couldn't get.
They're all over my face.
Fortunately, the Gillette Techmatic razor gets rid of the nubs. Techmatic adjusts to shave you closer. Techmatic gave Wally the closest shave he ever had. No nicks, no cuts, no nubs.
Boy, that was close.
Techmatic by Gillette. It gets the nubs.
Harold?
Yes, Valerie?
We've got to stop meeting like this.
I know. Your father will be needing his regular right guard.
Well, one shot and he's good for the whole day, you know.
But I didn't mean anything by it.
Well, it's your parents who'll come barging in for the silver right guard.
Well, the antiperspirant.
It stops odor and helps keep us dry, too.
Two kinds of people, two kinds of right guard.
Valerie?
Oh, hi, Guy. You're Mona's kid, aren't you? Here, Dad, and Sid! Sid!
Right now, let's go downstairs. Tony Kubek has someone.
Thank you, Bill. With me is Joe Cronin, the president of the American League. And, Joe, they're comparing this Baltimore Orioles ball club to some of the Yankee clubs back in the 60s. They say it's one of the best ball clubs to come along in the American League in a long time.
Well, I agree with the critics. I really think the Baltimore club is playing with the same Yankee confidence. They've been together now for 2 or 3 years, and the swale of the pitcher added to their good pitching staff, and Ballinger's come into his own, and you know, you being a great shortstop knows, we realize how much. And Robinson, of course, is as good as ever, and Powell's improved right along. It's a good ball club. I particularly like Seaver today, Tony. I thought he had good stuff and good changeup, good motion, good curve. But those base-on balls will get you in trouble.
Well, Joe, we're going to see some of these Mets pitchers throughout the rest of the series. I know you're going to New York, but when you see Kuzma in the mound, another hard throw, Tug McGraw, Nolan Ryan has great stuff. So I think you're looking forward really to seeing this Mets ball club a little bit more.
It's going to be a great pitching series, I say.
Joe Cronin, thank you so much. Let's get back upstairs.
All right, thank you, Tony. And here's the third Mets pitcher now. Their second reliever, Don Cardwell, went the 6th inning, retired 3 in a row. This is another right-hander, Ron Taylor, and he is a Canadian lad. Working to Mike Cuellar. Strike one, he got the inside corner on him. Taylor is the only member of the New York Mets, the only player on the Mets with series experience. He was in 2 ball games for the Cardinals back in the '64 series. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cuellar has one of the Oriole base hits and drove over a run in the 4th inning. Cuellar, kind of a free slinger, very loose swinger. Ground foul and no play. Today's paid attendance for Game 1 of the 1969 World Series announced at 48,400. And there's at least 1/3 of that crowd of 48,000. Taylor ahead at a ball and 2 strikes. He tried to get that sinking fastball of his on the inside edge. 2 balls and 2 strikes. On deck, leadoff batter Buford with bat boy Jay Mazzone right next to him. Taylor born and still lives in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 3-2 to Cuellar. Taylor's best equipment is a sinking fastball. He will also show batters a slider. And like good relievers, he keeps the ball down, or at least tries to keep it down. 3-2. Still alive. The paid attendance for Game 1 of the 1969 World Series announced at 48,400. And there's at least 1/3 of that crowd of 48,000. Taylor ahead at a ball and 2 strikes. He tried to get that sinking fastball of his on the inside edge. 2 balls and 2 strikes. On deck, leadoff batter Buford with bat boy Jay Mazzone right next to him. Taylor born and still lives in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 3-2 to Cuellar. Taylor's best equipment is a sinking fastball. He will also show batters a slider. And like good relievers, he keeps the ball down, or at least tries to keep it down. 3-2. Still alive, the ball was upstairs, right back of the plate. Baltimore leading New York by a score of 4-1, and we're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Cuellar tried to get that outside pitch, was fooled by it. He had a lunge for it and couldn't get to it. So now relievers for the Mets have retired 4 in a row. And the greeting is for the leadoff batter, Don Buford. He has homered. He has been safe on an error and doubled over a run. Don with his best season in the American League. A change curve for ball 1. That should be a play for A.G. over in right center field or Svoboda. It is A.G. calling off Svoboda, and there are 2 away. We commented during the pregame activities that this park actually does not favor the pitcher, nor does it favor the hitter. It is an extremely tough park in which to pull the ball, although it is only 309 feet down both the left and the right field side. It does not have the big expansive outfield of like a Dodger Stadium or a Yankee Stadium. 1 ball, no strikes to Blair. He's been up 3 times and out 3 times. There's that left field foul line. 309 right to that 14-foot wall. 1-0. 2-0 now. Blair does have a tendency to try to pull quite a few pitches. And the Mets have showed Blair a lot of breaking balls, curves and sliders. Seaver threw him a lot of curves. Slider gets the outside corner. 2 balls and 1 strike. On deck is Frank Robinson. The Orioles have not had a base hit off Met pitching since the 4th inning. Slider missing. 3-1 now. 2 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. Orioles went ahead in the 1st inning, and they've been ahead. The Mets had a big rally in the top half of this inning. He got him on the breaking ball. And you may have noticed that Blair just yanked the head away a bit as he went after that breaking stuff. That was Blair's problem late in the season. It was not his problem during the championship series against Minnesota. He loses him, and that's the Orioles' first base runner since the 4th inning. A 2-out walk given by Taylor to Blair. Last year, 10,000 people died because they thought they had found a good excuse for not wearing their safety belts in their cars. Well, 10,000 people who the National Safety Council estimates would have lived if they'd taken just 6 seconds to snap up their safety belt. So why don't you buckle up for safety and use that safety belt? Frank Robinson has been retired 3 times by the Mets. Blair at first, 2 gone in the bottom of the 7th. Fouled and out of play, strike 1. Seaver got Frank Robinson on a strikeout with a high fastball in the 1st inning. And Frank grounded out to 3rd and is flied to center. Blair's running, and they've got him in a rundown. Taylor goes to Clendenin. Clendenin and running back to Weiss. Weiss running him back, and Weiss will make the putout to retire the side. It goes 1, 3, 4 for the putout. And that means Frank Robinson will begin the bottom of the 8th inning. And so at the end of the 7th inning, the score is Baltimore 4 and New York 1.
Goes there? Yeah, that one fits beside it. And this one goes... No, that one. This one goes right there. This one must go there.
Go in.
That's British Columbia.
Yeah.
Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and that's Ontario? Yeah, it must be Ontario. Up here. So, Quebec? Yeah. Let me see, I know. Labrador? Like that. There it is. Here, this one fits right in. Better move that island out a little bit. So, what's that one? Looks like another Newfoundland, but there can't be two. Oh, maybe it's, Brunswick. This goes here, right? This looks like Confederate Island. Nova Scotia sticking out there.
Canada. It's the best piece of real estate in the world. And the new high-interest Canada savings bonds let you own a piece of it. They're on sale now at the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce.
World Series action with Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek returns after we break for station identification. This is the CBC Television Network.
The Mets now in the 8th inning start with the head of the order, Tommy Agee. And he got the slider into his hands for strike one. Cuellar has not thrown that slider too much. He's been screwball, fastball, and let up rainbow curve. Down the right field side, being chased by Frank Robinson, close to the foul pole, but not close enough.
Remind the fans, Bill, that tomorrow we'll be on at 1:30, an hour later, Eastern Daylight Time. World Series report with Jim Simpson, Sandy Koufax, and Mickey Mantle. Then Game 2 of the World Series, Jerry Koosman pitching for the Mets, and Dave McNally of the Orioles. And right after that, we'll go to football, AFL football, and we'll tell you more about it later.
All right, Kurt, 2 strikes to Agee, and he gets him on 3 pitches. 6 strikeouts for Cuellar. He has fanned Agee twice. Once looking and now swinging. It'll bring on the Mets shortstop, Bud Harrelson.
Number 3,
Harrelson has grounded twice to third, and he was walked by Cuellar on 4 pitches in the 6th inning. Harrison will spray. He'll move the ball around the outfield. Strike one on the foul ball, right into his hands. Harrelson, not known as somebody who can pull the ball, and he's not normally known for power, and consequently, as we see Jones on deck, Blair is playing Harrelson in shallow center field. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's Hank Soar of the American League calling balls and strikes. One, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Harrelson gave these Mets an outstanding defensive job during the 1969 season, 2-2. And everybody, and understandably so, talked about the Mets' great pitching. But their defense up the middle, with Brody back of the plate and Harrelson at short, and Agee did an outstanding job. 2-2. Still alive. He didn't get the screwball through. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Three and 2. Tough play for Belanger, and he won't get to it. Right in the hole between Brooks Robinson and Mark Belanger. The last inning, the Mets had a rally going, a run and 2 hits they picked up. Now they try to start something afire with a 1-out single by Harrelson. Right now, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
Number 21, Cleon Jones.
Harrelson has just produced hit number 5 off Cuellar, and you're looking at Cleon Jones, who had a base hit up the middle in the first inning. Since then has flied to left and fouled out. Harrelson policed by Powell at first base. Orioles lead 4-1 in the top of the 8th inning. Strike one. The screwball was right to the knees. There have been ball games this year where Cuellar, and this is Don Clendenin on deck. There have been games where Cuellar, 75% of his pitches have been screwballs. Foul, Tapper. So Jones is in a 2-strike hole. The Orioles have activity again in their bullpen. Eddie Watt, as he was throwing in the 7th, throwing again in the 8th. Jones very aggressive with the bat and probably makes the best contact of anybody in the Mets club. Johnson gets 1. Belanger won't get 2. Johnson had trouble on the low line drive right between the ankles and the shoes and did not have enough time either for the double play. Belanger threw as hard as he could, but Jones, who has outstanding speed down the line, beat Belanger's fire to power. 2 out, Jones is now the runner.
Let's see how they work to Clendenin now. He's doubled and singled. He's been the toughest man for Cuellar today, and Cuellar might change his strategy a bit against him.
He went low to him, ball 1. Clendenin has put the ball in 2 parts of the field, a power alley double and a base hit up the middle. Fouled away, a no play by Clendenin. I would imagine, Kurt, that not so much in mid-June when Clendenin came to the Mets from Montreal, but towards the late part of August that Clendenin felt he had a new lease on his baseball life.
Well, he was riding the crest of the amazing Mets, and you can see why he would.
Still up there, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cuellar has worked low over the plate and has also jammed at Clendenin here in the top of the 8th inning. Cuellar led the Orioles in wins, in innings pitched, in complete ball games, and in strikeouts. No good with the screwball. 2-2. Powell holding, Jones with his lead. Another strikeout, 2 in the inning, 7 for Cuellar. No runs, 1 hit, and a man left in the top of the 8th inning. And so, in the middle of the 8th inning, it's Baltimore 4, New York 1.
These are the good times, and good times just naturally go together with Good times just naturally go together with Old Vienna.
Bill O'Donnell along with Kurt Gowdy at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, and in World Series history, the club that has won the first game of a World Series has then gone on to win 39 of them. And however, clubs which have won the first game of the World Series have been beaten back and lost 26 in previous fall classics.
You'll see the rest of the World Series on NBC, AFL football highlights during the fall. And remember, NBC brings you the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Gator Bowl, and the Senior Bowl, all on NBC. The best of the bowl game.
All right, thank you, Kurt. And here's the bottom now of the 8th inning. Frank Robinson was batting in the 7th with Blair at first base and 2 out. And then with Blair running, Taylor just broke contact with the rubber and caught him in a rundown. So Robinson in the bottom of the 8th. Did not get the slider, did not check the swing in time. Frank went from 268 a year ago to 308 this year. Tried the slider again. 1 ball and 1 strike.
He's deadly serious about becoming a manager, is he, Bill?
And, Kurt, as you know, for the 2nd straight winter, Frank is going to manage in the Puerto Rican League at Santurce.
Smart baseball man. He should be a good manager.
He's made statements and hasn't kidded anybody. He says he wants to be a major league manager. He does not want to manage in the minors. He wants to start in the big time. All Frank has seen now is breaking pitches from Ron Taylor. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Kurt, Frank will take quite a few of these Baltimore ball clubs to that Santurce club again this winter. 2 balls and 2 strikes, the count rise. Powell is on deck. For those of you National League fans who remember Frank Robinson when he played with the Reds and have not seen him since he's been in the American League since '66, like a Henry Aaron, for example, he's got extremely quick hands and strong wrists. He went after the changeup, but pulls it way foul. There are many people, Kurt Gowdy, who feel that Frank Robinson has been as much of a help to this ball club as a leader off the field as he's been with the bat on the field.
Well, that's what we understand, especially when we talk to the other Oriole players.
3-2 now. And he got that slider upstairs a bit, but had that swing out in front. 2 strikeouts for Taylor in relief. He's faced 4 men. He's walked 1. Boog Powell has one of the Oriole base hits. That was a line single to right in the 1st inning. Since then, he's been handled twice on infield ground balls. Powell produced 22 home runs a year ago, but rocketed 37 out this year. Taylor just challenged Powell, completely challenged him and outpitched him. Brooks Robinson, waiting to bat next. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Orioles lead the Mets 4-1. Got the outside corner. I kind of think that Taylor had Powell maybe guessing something different. Two strikes to Powell. Let's see if Taylor now decides to waste one. He didn't waste it. Clendenin was perfectly positioned, playing close to the foul line, and has Powell for an easy putout. Clendenin, when Powell swung, was only 1 good stride off that foul line. Powell back to the dugout, and the greetings for Brooks Robinson. Brooks was one of the hitting heroes in the American League Championship Series. He had 7 hits against Minnesota pitching. The Mets swept the Braves, and the Orioles did the same thing. They swept the Twins. Two away. Ball one. Kurt.
For the Met fans looking ahead to the Mets' last chance in the ninth, it's going to be Swoboda, Charles, and Grody, and we'll probably have a right and left-hander going to work in the Baltimore bullpen.
1-0 to Brooks Robinson. Got the outside edge to the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike. This is Elrod Hendricks on deck, the Oriole catcher. One and one now. He chased an outside slider. Brooks lunging and went after a bad pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Taylor kept him off balance. Two away. The bases are empty. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Brooks feels that his success against the Twins in that championship series was because he had complete concentration. That's the one thing he talked about. Two strikeouts in the inning for Taylor. He's got 3 strikeouts in 2 innings of outstanding relief. Ron Taylor. And so at the end of the 8th inning, the score is Baltimore 4 and New York 1.
Should have this much class and this much quiet authority. Chrysler for 1970. Chrysler with torsion quiet ride. Smooth, silent, luxurious. And with new wide stance. Chrysler, Canada's best-selling luxury car.
Before the Mets bat in the top of the 9th inning, downstairs to our good friend Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Bill O'Donnell. I'm talking down here to, your dad's a good friend of mine, Bobby Shylock. What does your dad do?
He's an umpire.
Which team are you rooting for, Bobby?
Baltimore.
Is your dad going to let you play hooky from school Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday or Thursday up in New York?
I don't think so.
You think he's going to make you go to school?
Yeah.
Well, I thought he was a nice guy, but I'm not so sure. He'll let you see that ball game. Who are you pulling for?
Baltimore.
You got a favorite player on that club?
Brooks Robinson.
He made a good play, didn't he, a while ago?
Yeah.
Bobby Shylock, thank you so much. Right now, let's go back up to Bill and Kurt.
Thank you, Tony. And here are the Mets now in kind of a do or die top of the 9th inning with Ron Swoboda, their right fielder. Too low for a ball. Swoboda, a Baltimore-born and bred product and educated here, went to Patterson Park High School. 1 ball, 1 strike. Got that breaking pitch into his letters and on the inside corner. Charles is on deck. Ed Charles. He got heat and didn't get it. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, I think that's the fastest pitch he's thrown in the game.
And we mentioned earlier about Cuellar, who sometimes throws 75% screwballs. There are ball games he uses the fastball even more than he does the screwball. Cuellar likes to figure that whatever his pattern is, successfully in the first few innings of the ball game, he likes to stay with. Right now, he's 2-2 to Swoboda. Cuellar's going to have to hurry his throw and won't make a throw. Cuellar probably realized that he wasn't handling the ball properly. Also realized he might have had a tight play on Swoboda. So in his haste to get to the ball and throw, he lost it completely.
Number 5.
So the Mets with life to start the top of the 9th inning. The Orioles lead the Mets 4-1.
And now the Baltimore bullpen springs into action. Rickard, a left-hander, and Watt, a right-hander, are starting to warm up.
Ed Charles now the batter. Strike one. Swoboda has been given a base hit. The left-hander to the right of the screen is Rickard. The right-hander is Watt. Powell is not holding with Swoboda. Blair has it in range in dead center field. One gone in the top of the 9th inning. We'd like to thank two fine gentlemen who have helped both Kurt Gowdy and yours truly, Bill O'Donnell, in Game 1 of the World Series. Our very able statistician, Alan Roth, and also our stage manager, the very likable Jim O'Gorman. Thank you, gentlemen. Jerry Grody now, the Mets catcher. Ball one. Grody has one of the base hits off Cuellar. 4 runs, 6 hits for Baltimore, a run, 6 hits for New York. Inside corner for a ball and a strike. Grody, who not only has one of the strongest arms in the National League among their catchers, but in both leagues. Kind of a defensive swing on that screwball, and he got a piece of it. Grody with a late swing. Realized the pitch had the corner and had the late defensive cut. 1-2. Swoboda not held. Powell's playing back deep. Strike 3 is called. 8 strikeouts for Cuellar. 8 of them. Cuellar, since the All-Star game, has won 13 ball games and lost only 2. And a reminder that immediately following our ball game, stay tuned for World Series report. And World Series Game 2, followed by AFL football. That's tomorrow. Airtime, remember now, tomorrow is at 1:30. This is Art Shamsky now being brought up by Art Shamsky's on deck. This is Weiss in the batter's box, and Shamsky is on deck. Two balls, no strikes to Weiss. Hendricks and Cuellar had quite a few discussions like this during the Mets rally in the 7th inning. Cuellar facing the Met batter who has driven over the Mets' only run. Three balls, no strikes to Weiss. Four pitches, and the Mets, with 2 out, have 2 on, and that would bring the Mets with a tying run to the plate. Four walks now have been given up by Cuellar. And the pitching coach of the Orioles, George Bamberger, who visited the mound during the 7th inning, coming out again. The Orioles are continuing to warm Rickard, the left-hander, and Watt, the right-hander. That's Watt to the left and Rickard to the right. Bamberger still with Cuellar.
This is when they want that honest answer. Are you tired? We also checked with the catcher, and they're satisfied, I guess. Cuellar is all ready for Art Shamsky, who was the hottest hitter for the Mets during their playoff series with Atlanta. But Gil Hodges, who's utilized his platoon system very successfully, took his left-handers out and put his right-handed hitting line.
Run to the plate. Four walks now have been given up by Cuellar. And the pitching coach of the Orioles, George Bamberger, who visited the mound during the seventh inning, coming out again. The Orioles are continuing to warm Rickert, the left-hander, and Watt, the right-hander. That's Watt to the left and Rickert to the right. Bamberger still with Cuellar.
This is when they want that honest answer. Are you tired? They also check with the catcher, and they're satisfied, I guess. Cuellar is all ready for Art Shamsky, who was the hottest hitter for the Mets during their playoff series with Atlanta. But Gil Hodges, who's utilized his platoon system very successfully, took his left-handers out and put his right-handed hitting lineup in. But Shamsky was red hot against Atlanta.
He was indeed, Kurt. He had 7 base hits, 13 times to the plate, so that's better than 500. 2 on for the Mets, and 2 out in the top of the ninth. Fooled by the breaking ball with that golf swing. Shamsky likes to pull. And as a matter of fact, in the Oriole outfield, Blair extremely shaded to right center. Second baseman Johnson goes to first, and that's the ball game. Shamsky, batting for the pitcher, has grounded out to end Game 1 of the World Series. Baltimore has been victorious by a score of 4-1. Cuellar had a shaky 7th, a shaky 9th, but pulled out of both jams. We'll have an interview along with Tony Kubek and a recap of the first game. The final score, the Orioles, 4 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. The Mets, 1 run, 6 hits, and 1 error.
Yes, come on.
Say, Samurai Warrior, why do you be so unhappy?
Once have good job. Then shave with Gillette spoiler with miracle plastic coating so edge of cold steel not touch face for many shapes.
So?
No, now I'm spoiled. Never can face cold steel again.
Advise to make love, not war.
That's a good idea.
What man can resist it? The clean, crisp aroma of ocean surf. Get it in new Gillette Foamy Surf Spray Shaving Cream. A new fragrance, like the refreshing spray of a breaker. The foamy crispness of ocean whitecaps. If you've ever enjoyed the refreshing scent of ocean spray on your skin, you know what to expect in new Foamy Surf Spray by Gillette. Take the plunge today.
We're going down and meet the winning pitcher now, Mike Cuellar, and the hitting star for today's game, Don Buford, with Tony Kubek.
Thank you very much. Down here with me, Mike Cuellar. And Mike, congratulations. That was a pretty fine ball game.
Thank you very much, Tony.
What was the best pitch for you today?
I got it a screwball, the best one today. You know, I feel pretty good in the first 5 innings with a fastball, but after that, I got a pretty good screwball.
Well, what about this Mets lineup now? What is your impression of the Mets lineup? What about AG? What about Swoboda? What about some of the other hitters?
Well, no, I tell you, all the Mets, you know, from the first one to the sixth hitter, you got to be careful with that. You know, you can hit the ball out of the park anytime. You know, you can make no mistake with it. You got to put a good ball club.
Mike, there's some managers that are saying, and baseball people saying, that they ought to bat left-handed hitters against you to take away that screwball. Does it bother you whether it's a left-handed hitter or a right-handed hitter up there?
Well, it don't bother me, you know, because I try to pitch it the same. Left-handed to right-handed. I using the screwball to the left-handed too. You know, that don't bother me. Really don't bother me.
Mike, let's go back to just before the ball game. What kind of feelings did you have? You'd never seen the Met Ball Club before. Were you nervous? Were you on edge? You didn't have time to warm up, I know, for a while because the president's wife, Pat Nixon, came in on the party, and they kind of delayed your warm-ups. Did this affect you at all at the start of the ball game?
Well, it affected me a little bit because I know warming up, like you said, I know warming up good. I take about 5 minutes off, you know, because there's other people over there in the mountain that can let me warming up. But anyway, you know, I don't feel little nervous, you know, little nervous, but it's nothing of it.
Mike, you had a fine ball game, and it must be quite comforting. You must feel pretty good out there when you're on the mound, when you can look behind you and see Brooks Robinson at third, Belanger at short, and some of the other players in the infield, Davy Johnson, of course, Boog Powell. Brooks made a heck of a play down on third base.
Oh, yeah, man, that's the best third base I saw in my life, you know. That guy can really do everything. You know, he gets to the line, up to the hole, everything. My Berlangers, you know, and Dave Johnson, Bull Power, too. It's, you know, everybody thinks, you know, it's a good glove at that, too.
Mike Cuellar, thank you so much. Congratulations once again. We're looking forward to seeing you up in New York.
Okay, thank you very much. Bro.
Thank you, Mike Cuellar. Let's go on back upstairs.
Again, the final score, Baltimore 4, New York 1. In a moment, we'll continue to review the action of today's game.
This Commerce Passbook guarantees you're getting the highest savings account interest available at chartered banks in Canada, 6.5%. What can a Commerce savings account do for you? It can put you in the sun country for a week and buy you 6.5% more sun. It can let you put a ring on someone you love and buy you 6.5% more diamond. It can give you extra money to help raise a family and buy you 6.5% more peace of mind. And even if you never have to touch your account, it can buy you 6.5% more security. So what can a Commerce savings account do for you? It can buy you 6.5% more of everything. Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, one of the world's great banks.
Don Buford invited his old college coach, Bob Dadu of USC, as his guest here at the World Series. And Don showed his old college coach how to do it today.
Certainly did. And Don, you know, that's quite a start. First time at bat in the World Series to hit a home run. 3 for 4 day. Quite a day. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Tony.
What about Tom Seaver? What about batting off today? You'd never seen him before.
Well, no, he went to the same university I did, University of Southern California, and I saw him one winter. I think I just hit against him once. But I knew he threw hard, and I had to look for the hard stuff all day, no matter what he threw. And all the reports that we had is he threw hard, and I felt that if he threw hard, that's all I could look for.
What about tomorrow and Jerry Koosman, the left-hander? Have you ever seen him before?
No, I haven't, Tony, and I understand he throws curveballs and fastballs just like Seaver, and I just hope we get off to another good start.
Don, your impressions of the Mets ball club? Of course, it's a team comprised of young players, inexperienced. They just don't give up. We've seen them in the playoffs against Atlanta. What about your impressions of this Mets ball club?
Well, Tony, I don't think they're the type of club that gives up. The only thing is, I think we got off to a good start and then scored 2 or 3 runs right there together, and I think they may have had a little letdown. But you can't say they're going to let down tomorrow. If they get off to a pretty good start, they're going to be a tough ball club.
Don Buford, congratulations once again. Have a good series. Have a good day tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Let's go on back upstairs.
We'll be back with more about the 1969 World Series and a look at tomorrow's game.
Steel Town, where the bones of Canada's growth are born, torn from a furnace as hot as the sun, spun from Canada's rock and fuel, and the skill of the men of Steel Town. They're hearty men who like their life. They're proud of the work they do, and they earn the satisfaction of seeing a tough job through. And when they relax with an ale that's bolder than the rest. Yes, O'Keefe is the hearty ale these men enjoy. O'Keefe ale satisfies best. O'Keefe ale, the right ale for right now.
Here's the way the scoring went. In the first inning, Buford led off the game for the Orioles with a home run to right. The Orioles had their big inning in the fourth with 2 out, nobody on. Hendricks singled, Johnson walked, Belanger singled, driving in Hendricks. Cuellar, the pitcher, singled, knocking in Johnson, and then Buford doubled to the right field corner, scoring Belanger. That was the end of the scoring for the Orioles. The Mets had a big threat in the seventh. Clendenon singled, Swoboda walked after Charles flied out. Roach single. Clendenon was held up at third, the bases loaded. Weiss flied to left on a sacrifice fly, scoring Clendenon. And then the play of the ball game, Gasper was a pinch hitter, a little roller down the third. if Brooks Robinson had not handled that roller, the Mets would have had the bases loaded and A.G. a good hitter coming up. But Robinson made a sparkling play, charging that slow hit ball, and he had 6 assists, by the way, in the game. The World Series record for a third baseman is 9. Now tomorrow, Bill O'Donnell, we have Dave McNally and Jerry Koosman, 2 left-handers going. How do you size those two up?
Well, Kurt, I think that Koosman probably has the better fastball. I think from what I've seen of McNally probably has the better curveball. McNally in the last 2 years has also picked up a pretty good slider. Like we had today, we have 2 outstanding starters. Koosman won 17, almost matched Seaver. And McNally had his 2nd straight 20 victory year. He won 20 ball games as opposed to 22. And as I'm sure you remember, he won his first 15 ball games this year before the Twin Field.
It was rather a tame game outside of the play by Brooks Robinson in third. There weren't many other exciting plays in the game. Baltimore was in command. So Cuellar's a winner, Seaver's a loser, Buford with a home run and a double and 2 RBIs was the batting star of the game, and Brooks Robinson the fielding star. Tomorrow, though, is another day, and we'll be on the air with Game 2 at 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Kurt Gowdy and Bill O'Donnell, hoping you enjoyed the opening game of the 1969 World Series. This game is authorized.
Be sure to join us tomorrow as the New York Mets meet the Baltimore Orioles for game number 2 in the 1969 World Series. World Series Baseball has been a CBC Sports color presentation in association with NBC. This is the CBC Television Network.